Hi everyone, today is April 30th, 2017, and this is the Duel Assessment, your podcast for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. I'm GreenRanger.
And I'm Decktech.
And it's been a long week of dueling, finishing up some events. The Pegasus Event is about to end, and there's a ton of news coming up for this game. What have you been up to this week in the Duel world?
So, I've actually got a few things, and I wrote down a list because last time I missed one. The one that I missed last time was that I got gems from all 4 of the screens at the free gem locations, which hopefully our listeners know about, but it's the fountain on the gate screen, it's the lamppost on the PvP screen, it's the top of the shop on the shop screen, and then it's the trash can on the card studio screen. I got gems on all 4 in one, go. I don't know if that's an accomplishment, but it sure felt like one.
Yeah, never happened to me before.
Yeah, right? It was magical. After that, let's see. I found out that Card Breaker doesn't work the way that I thought it would when we were talking about reviewing the cards and stuff. It does not destroy and send the card to the graveyard. It just sends it to the graveyard. So I thought that it could work with like Desert Twister and stuff, but it doesn't. Wild Tornado. It only works with like 7 and the other one that leaves when it play. Big Bang Shot. And so that was kind of a disappointment. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, maybe, as the third-rate duelist, being me. Cool. And other than that, I've kind of been playing with like my meme deck that I've been obsessed with, which is a tweaked version of the Pot of Benevolence deck that you talked about in the solo episode while I was on vacation. I've just been in love with the weird idea of using Magical Merchant to just kind of put my entire deck into the graveyard and do weird things with it from there. So I've had various versions with and without the pot itself, but it's just been kind of fun to mess around with in the silver and gold ranges. What about you? What have you been up to?
I was trying out this Dark Voltanis Gemini Dark thing, and then I realized when I was beaten down to Silver 1 that counter traps kind of suck in this game. There's only a few that are usable. Like, you set down Ryoku Field and it does nothing, so you're not playing Kaiba. So I switched over to this experimental deck, which I saw online, which is Bad Reaction to Smachi and Stray Asmodean. And this is kind of a stall burn deck where you would reverse healing effects for your opponent into burn damage, and then you use Eye of Truth to burn them down more and see their hand. And this deck is, I've seen some of it online, but mine is a combined version of several ones just because I'm missing certain cards. And Bad Reaction to Smachi is actually leaving the trader in a few days. I do have 2 of them, but I only have 2 stones left, so I can't get a third one as of now, this morning. So I'm trying to get to gold with this. If I put in enough games, I will. I'm at silver 4 right now. I finally lost a game, so this deck is probably like 6-1 or 7-1 so far.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I'll just keep playing it and seeing what I come up with.
You need to hop back into Pegasus to get those last super rare stones.
I got everything from him.
Yeah, but just like playing against him because it's free.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But I saw what you were doing, and I thought about playing it myself, but then unfortunately Simochi, like you said, is rotating really soon. I couldn't. I didn't feel like I'd be able to get a play set, and I didn't want to just end up with 1. And it's got that same issue that we always talk about, where the super rare stones kind of seem to be the most important ones. So you ran out. It's kind of
with the Kaibaman thing, which we'll talk about later, you'll notice that you'll have more UR gems typically than the SRs. So
yeah. All right. Well, do you want to just hop into the news?
Yeah, let's do it. So the news section, there's a lot of news. There was a Reddit tournament. They have a weekly tournament on the Duel Links official Reddit page, And last Sunday, I believe, was when that happened, and there was actually one on yesterday. So we don't really know who won. I tried to figure out who won that event, but we don't really know as of now. And it's cool that on Reddit they put the deck lists for the top 8 winners. And we could go over some of the decks that won. And the first one is a Weevil Parasite deck. Let's see. So it's possible that the meta is, they don't really say, top websites don't really say that Weevil Infestation is, one of the best tier 1 decks around. But it's possible that in this confined tournament meta, it's different than the latter.
Yeah.
Other top 8 decks include a Clown deck, Gravekeepers, which is pretty normal, several Desert Twister decks, one Relinquish deck, I believe, and another Weevil deck. And then there's another deck from Venus, which involves Venus Control, and this is from a user called Why Not for the Win, all acronyms, and it's a second place deck with the Venus Control. And DeckTech's going to talk more about this deck and why he likes it so much later on. We're going to include a link to these deck lists, and you can check out these decks. It's possible that they're going to come up with the decks for the tournament that happened yesterday. And it's really interesting that yesterday I logged on. I found out about the tournament, and I logged in, or I checked out the site where you check it out, and in the morning, there were only 12 people registered out of 128, and it's apparently someone said they all come last minute. Like, everyone signs up like in the hour or before the tournament actually begins. So if you want to compete in these Reddit tournaments, there's pretty much room the day before. You could just sign in whenever, so it's a good experience to check out.
And another thing was you found, and then I joined as well, the Discord channel about it, where some of the conversation is about the game itself and the tech choices. And I saw some interesting conversation about that. You told me that you were looking at mostly pudding, though.
Yeah, well, earlier in the day, Lilia, who was the first place winner, was giving people advice. So that was pretty cool. But then I logged on this morning, and then there was talk about halal pudding, which apparently is meat. It's like a meat and garlic thing, not snack cups and chocolate. So, pudding cups. They're talking about pudding cups, and I couldn't even find who won the tournament yesterday, just because there was so much off the wall discussion that has nothing to do with card games.
Yeah, Reddit is as Reddit does, right?
Yeah. Oh. Well, we'll probably find out the information about who won and what decks won. I would say that some of them are, maybe some of the decks are the same, and there might be like 1 or 2 or 3 new additions to this set here.
Yeah, I assume that it's going to be mostly meta deck. I mean, this time it was mostly meta decks and a few kind of techie choices and maybe 1 or 2 off the wall. It's probably going to be the same next week or this week.
So we'll stay tuned to Reddit and Discord to see if the new information comes out. And it's possible that we'll compete in some of these tournaments if the time fits for us and report on our experiences, I guess. Yeah. All right. So the next one is about Kaibaman, which is pretty cool. There were 4 new cards inserted into the card traders set, with some of them rotating out. And Kaibaman is the UR card. And it's a pretty hilarious card in its own right. But Reddit has gone crazy with the deck. And they're showing like the special dialogue that goes on. And you've picked up some yourself, right?
Yeah, well, I just saw it. Oh, yes, yeah. I picked up Kaibaman. I think I've got 2. I was trying to get, enough to build a deck into it, so it's probably going to be 2 or maybe 3. And like we were talking about before, I had a few extra ultra rare stones, so it wasn't really like a big sacrifice to do that. Plus, he's kind of cool. I've been trying to make something with Blue Eyes kind of work for a while. It was my first like semi-competitive deck, was a rampy thing using switcheroo and stuff, and it isn't really that competitive now, but maybe Kaibaman can help with that. So people were excited. I actually even saw a Kaiba farming deck that used Kaibaman to get out Blue Eyes to kind of create a wall to stall out the game. So I thought that was funny to farm Kaiba with Kaiba.
Well, that's really interesting because he only gets out the Emerald Dragon. I think it can't even beat the defense of the Blue Eyes if he flips it. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the best technique because he can econ your Blue Eyes. I mean, doesn't he run Blue Eyes as well? I'm pretty sure he does.
Oh yeah, he has to sacrifice your Blue Eyes. But
yeah.
Flipping the position doesn't really do much because he can't kill 2,500.
Unless he already has his out.
Yeah, you get destroyed with like a Bizzle Designator. Yeah. He only has one copy. Yeah.
And he's also got the DDs though, so you have to be careful.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think it's the best farming technique, but it is funny to meme him, I guess. Take that, computer.
I was actually reading about Kaibaman this morning, and he's actually a character. Like, he's a real guy they duel in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. And he actually plays Kaibaman, which is kind of weird, because the character plays the card, which is himself. It's pretty crazy. And
I don't know, that seems like a Kaiba thing to do. Is Kaibaman Kaiba, though? It looks like it's Kaiba with a mask on.
It's based on him, but the card was like the guy's like a spirit or something. So he's not like a real guy.
Oh, I see.
But it's a lot like Kaiba. It fits his personality. And if you've seen the anime, he drives a Blue Eyes jet, and this guy's wearing a Blue Eyes mask or helmet or something. So it's pretty much
yeah.
It's just like him. Some of the other cards that came out were Gravity Behemoth, Life Force Harmonizer, and Scroll of Bewitchment. Any thoughts about these cards?
You and I talked about them a little bit. The Gravity Behemoth is kind of interesting. Anything you can play for free just piques my interest. But the requirements for this one aren't so great, so I'm not feeling it, and it's a super rare, so I don't know if I'd really invest in that, in testing that one out. The Life Force Harmonizer seems kind of weak, but it's also a possible counter to Taya Burn, so to our listeners who are just absolutely fed up with it, I guess you can use that, or the Reddit tournament is actually has a sideboard format, so maybe you can have a few of those in there if it's a weak matchup for you. And the Scroll of Bewitchment, I guess the plan is that you can equip something to something that isn't supposed to have equipments to it, or maybe even break an equipment. I don't know the exact wording. I didn't bring it up.
It just changes an attribute of a monster. Not attribute, like a monster type, I think. Right.
So I guess that's what you would do, is certain cards only affect certain types, and so you can either cheat out a type or break your opponent's type, but that just seems really weak to invest a whole card into, so I don't think that one's any good at all.
Yeah, we'll see. But these cards will be in the trader for the foreseeable future, I guess, so if you want to pick them up, sure, but Kaibaman looks like the best one of these four, I think.
Yeah.
Alright, so the next thing is Pegasus. We've had him around for a while, but he's about to go. And it's wrapping up tomorrow, apparently. And you've been playing him in a different way, right? To farm player skills, I've heard.
Right. So apparently in the week or so that he's been out since we recorded, people found out a very kind of streamlined and universal way of beating him using clowns / the guardian that bounces guys, and it works very well because most of his cards are tunes that can't attack on the turn they come out, so once you kind of get a couple guys down and flipping, he can't catch up, and you just run a few Econs and Kurubos and Windstorm to kind of protect him in the few instances in which he plays the guys that don't have to wait a turn to attack. But essentially, it's it doesn't require any skill, so you can use any legendary duelist to do it, and that makes it really good to farm skill drops for that legendary duelist. For instance, I'm currently doing Joey. If you're following the show's Twitter, you've been following my trials and tribulations with it. But it's, I hadn't really farmed Joey's skills because Joey's default skills aren't very good for farming other duelists. And so the way, just to take a step back, that you get the skill drops is just like you would get the duelist's cards or whatever. You play against the legendary duelist, and then you get the duel assessment score, and then it's one of the prizes that randomly shows up is sometimes a drop skill. And so you can get some of the more important skills in the game are actually drop skills, like Harpy's Hunting Ground, Duel Standby, the Trap one for Odeon, Last Gamble for Joey. And so if you're missing any of these kind of important drop skills, it's a good opportunity to do it because Pegasus is free if you have extra star chips like I do. I have it's stuck on 999. I guess I just get more than I use. And it's fairly easy with this deck that I posted on the Twitter account, but that was in a reply to a listener who had asked, so we're definitely going to put it up in the show notes as well. You've got like a day to make the best use of it. Hopefully you found it on Reddit before this like I did.
Yeah, from my experience, just playing Pegasus, the skills I get tend to be duplicates all the time. It's kind of stupid how, I guess it's a way so not everyone has the same skills and not everyone has the most OP skills, but I keep getting duplicates and getting 15 gems instead, which is, I guess it's okay. 15 gems, it's something.
Yeah, it's just a heartbreak, right? Because you're like, oh, the skill, no.
It's just, I wasn't specifically looking for the skills like you were. It was just a surprise. Like, I was like, oh, you got another duplicate again. And so it's just what happens, I guess, with this game.
Yeah.
All right. The card flipper campaign is back, and this time there's like 8 or 9 cards, I believe.
Yeah, 9.
Yeah. The spear shield is back, so you could have 2 in every deck you have run. Such a good card. And there's also a new card called Mako. I forget the title.
Master of Barriers.
Master of Barriers, thank you. It's a 1700 attack spellcaster, a light, and you contribute the card to destroy a continuous magic card on the field. What's the first card you would think of that this counters, I guess? Like, what's the best continuous magic card in the game? It destroys Toon World, but no one really runs that.
Yeah. I was thinking Wonder Balloons maybe, but if you're running Wonder Balloons, you usually run like Reflector Shield and stuff to protect it. So, you might just be losing a guide for nothing.
If anything, this card is a direct improvement over Neo the Magical Swordsman. It has the same effects, except it has same stats as Neo the Magic Swordsman if you run him for a beatdown. But it actually has an additional effect, which is useful sometimes, I guess.
Right. It's never bad to be able to destroy any of the back row, even if it's limited use. Like you said, it's a direct improvement over something that already sees play. So definitely a solid card.
It could destroy Burning Land, I think.
There you go. Burning Land, that's a good one.
Yeah. All right. You haven't gotten him or her yet, right?
No, I've gotten nothing. Well, yep. I've gotten like gems and orbs and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't gotten the second spear shield either. Well, we'll see today if we can get this card.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to talk about the Duel Room, and the Duel Room Beta released on Thursday, I believe. And right now, the way it works is you go to the Duel screen on PvP, and it's directly under with the picture of Ishizu and Odeon on it. And you create a Duel Room, you give it a name, and there's only a limited number of characters in the name, so Duel Assessment wouldn't even fit. It will be dual assess. So you
Oh,
just
if we got the Duel S, that'd be pretty good.
yeah, dual ass would be pretty cool. Yeah.
It probably didn't let us though, huh?
Yeah, they don't. So the thing that's interesting with the character limit is they don't stop you right away. You just put in whatever, and then they cut it off. So that's what happens. And then you go into the duel room, and they have an ID. And it's interesting right now in this beta, you can't invite people, so you would have to physically call them or text them the dual ID, which is basically the password. And,
We have our Twitter account, man. That's how we do it.
yeah,
Got to tweet it out.
and only 10 people can join right now. So yesterday they were talking about the tournament in Reddit, which 120 people max. They didn't even use the duel room because it only fits 10 people. In the duel room itself, there's 5 tables. So the 5 tables are where the matches go, and you would see who faces who, and people can spectate. In this another screen, it shows participants and win-loss records for each person. So if it's like a round-robin format, you could see like the overall scores for each person. And the duel room deletes itself after 24 hours, or if you are the only person in it, or after every person leaves it. So the one I made was gone within a day. We might make one in the future for some of our listeners. Hopefully. And they'll also shed some light on it tomorrow. Do you have anything to add about the duel room, or should we move on?
Just real quick, it seems like all those things that you described are really good for like a teeny tiny tournament. So I assume when they go like full, when it's got the full release, perhaps the 10-person cap will be lifted and it'll be much larger so that it actually be practicable. But seems like they're setting up for some sort of tournament mode type thing, tournament support at least, which is cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Tomorrow they're going to actually talk about it more in this live stream event. And under Konami's official Twitter account, they tweeted that tomorrow, which is Monday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, they're going to have a live stream. They don't really have a link to where they're going to be live streaming, but I'll try to find it and see where it is. And they're going to be talking more about duel rooms and play around with a certain deck. I can't find the deck right now, but it had Yomi's ship in it. That's all I remember. Oh yeah, it has eliminating the league, dispel, mystic box, and Yomi ships. Some deck. They're going to play with that tomorrow. I'm not sure if they're taking requests either, but we're going to check out. It's always cool to check out dev insights, as we've seen with Blizzard, for example. Those are pretty cool things. Just to see what psychology they have in creating the game, I think. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just interesting in its own right. And it's also kind of helpful if you're trying to make, decisions about what you are going to get from the card trader, for instance, or something like that, how you want to use your resources. It's important to at least have an idea how the game might be going so you can kind of predict trends and stuff. So far, it's been kind of hard in this game because everything's kind of just come and sometimes just out of nowhere. So it'd be interesting to see where their heads are at.
Yeah, and also to see what cards they pull. I had nothing to do one day, and I was just looking at cards. And, some of the cards come out from the first set way back in 2001, I believe, when they first came out in America. And Wrecker Panda, for example, is a card that was just released last year as a TCG card. So there are cards that have come out just from last year. So if we could get some insight on what types of cards they're trying to release, because there's this clash about new school and old school here, and we're both kind of old school. We don't really know the new things like Synchro or XYZ, sorry. We don't know what sets are coming into the game. They haven't put in the really new stuff yet, but we don't know when it's coming. So it's all interesting to know. All right. So we're going to check out the live stream tomorrow and see. We're going to report on it next week, probably. More announcements from Roland. How do you feel about Roland?
I think he works really hard. He seems like a go-getter, and he's a bit underappreciated, I think. I don't think Kaiba gives him the credit.
Do you see yourself in him? Like, do you emphasize for him?
No, actually, I have a fine workplace where I get a lot of it, a proper amount of appreciation for the work that I do. Being a lawyer is terrible, but my boss is good.
All right, cool. So he came up with a bunch of new news topics, and one is that Yugi is coming back early in May, and this is the regular Yugi, and he's coming back with new rewards, and there's a lot of debate about whether Union Attack is coming back. People have said they will riot if they don't get a crack at getting Union Attack, and there was a comment somewhere said from a Chinese site that said there are entirely new rewards. So it's going to be a big deal if Union Attack doesn't come back.
Yeah, I think Union Attack just makes farming a lot easier. I was lucky enough to get 2 when we did the Yugi Muto event, which was actually, I think, the second time that Yugi Muto was here. So I can kind of see why Konami might want to limit that. But it's also totally unfair that, Korea just got added to the game. They're obviously planned to be a pretty big market. And so all those players in Korea who just joined have no chance at getting Union Attack, which is kind of it's a free 1,000 duel assessment points basically, and it makes it a lot easier to get all of the 9,900 or the 10,000 cap. So it's a very good tool for farming that a lot of players, including the brand new ones and the people who just didn't get lucky in the last time or two, are missing out on. I could totally understand both sides of this one, why the company kind of wants to limit it, and how they might feel like after he's been here twice, maybe you should mix it up a bit. I get that, but I also get why when you're doing these rolling releases and where people aren't guaranteed something just for doing the event, the people who don't have it are going to be pretty upset that they no longer have a chance.
Yeah, in the event that let's say Union Attack does not get released, let's hope. There's this rumor of this new card trader, and you could get like a card that was phased out from her, maybe. So this is a rumor. Maybe you could get Union Attack that way, hopefully. Yeah. New temporary duel quizzes in early May. So these are the things you get from the Duel School, where you play against the tour guide from the Underworld, I believe. And they say there are new rewards to the card pool from this set. And it's weird that these are temporary quizzes. They're typically come out when there's a new card set. What do you think about this rumor, or in this news item?
Yeah, so just to correct that a tiny bit, I was thinking that I wrote in the show notes that it might indicate that there's a change in the card pool. I don't think the announcement said there is a change in the card pool. Oh, okay. And the reason for that is because usually the new quizzes come with a new set. But it's just, that would be such a weird way to announce a new set, where it's just like anticlimactic and like the opposite of hype, to kind of hide it in subtext. But at the same time, since this game released, we've been kind of wondering what Konami's doing in terms of their various marketing techniques and how they promote this game and stuff. A lot of times it leaves us scratching our head. So, it might be that. It's not. Another option that could have been was the skill changes, like gives you a chance to play with each character with their new version of their skill. But the skill changes don't go live until May 23rd, so if this is happening in early May, it's probably not that. It'd be weird to do it before the changes go live. So my best guess is some sort of event that they're tied to, because otherwise why would they specifically note that they're limited time? So I don't know. It's a little bit of a weird announcement. We'll see.
Yep. It's going to come out in 2 weeks, I'd say, maybe, or 1 week, so we'll find out. This one's really cool. Unleash the true power of a legendary duelist. This is coming on mid-May, and what it says is a certain legendary duelist is going all out. Face him to obtain never-before-seen reward cards. So it's possible that this duelist is in our card pool, or it could be a new character, but we do know he's a male. So Shizu is not going to be going all out.
Sorry, buddy.
So some ideas is Yugi is getting a level 50 appearance, but we don't think it's the regular Yugi. If it's any, it could be Yugi, Yami Yugi. Kaiba is also possible, but then it's also possible that it could be someone like Merrick or Mokuba who has appeared in the data mining.
Yeah, I was thinking it was most likely going to be Yugi, just because if we're getting one character, I don't know, the way that it was written, I was thinking that it was from like the pool of legendary duelists that we already had, and so one character getting it would make sense that it's either going to be Yugi or Kaiba, and Kaiba's level 40 is already really hard, whereas Yuki's level 40 is really easy. So if you want to buff one of them, maybe you do Yugi. But that's a good point that you raise about how it might just be like an event boss, legendary duelist type person, just like Pegasus has his level 50. It might just be the next event that character has a level 50 as well. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and it's possible that there'll be a time when this person, whoever he is, and Yugi Muto are both in the Duel World at the same time. I don't know, maybe. All right, and then there's a new legendary duelist in late May, and it says a new character is coming to Duel Links. Choose a door and see what lies before. What does that make you think of?
Well, it makes me think of the Paradox Brothers, because they talked in rhyme, and apparently I don't remember the show as well as you do. But someone on Reddit said that there was something involved with them and a door where Tei and Yugi had to go through some, I don't know, labyrinth or something while dueling for reasons. So, I was thinking Paradox Brothers is what the clue sounds like, because it's a clue. But that would be a little weird because they're not like that big of characters. So it's kind of like, why do these people get to be legendary duelists? Someone pointed out that they were only in one episode of the original show, so I don't know what's going on there. What do you think?
Yeah, it would be really bad if they're in the show, because they're just hired guns. Basically, like they got hired by Pegasus to try to defeat them, and they have there's no introspection on character development or anything regarding these guys. And there's also the concern if there's two guys, there's a Para and there's a Dox. If they become the LDs, are they two guys or are they one? It's really confusing there. And it leads to some speculation about tag duels, but I don't think tag duels seems like it's too much technology at this time to have tag duels. But I would not. I would prefer someone else. There was an arc, the Noah Kaiba arc, where Merrick was fighting technology. He was just sitting around in the plane. He was like, I'm tired of waiting for these guys, so I'm going to wreak my evil on this technology. And he tried to get past the door. So it's possible it's Merrick. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. And just to comment on the tag duels, I don't think that's how they would do it. I assume that the Paradox Brothers would kind of be one legendary duelist, and they would just be, standing next to each other, back to back, arms crossed, like they're a cool rap group or something, and you would just play them as one. They would have one ability, and it would be essentially one character, but just two pictures.
Right, and we talked about the potential card you can get for them, and the main card that they're known for is Labyrinth Wall, which is a 5-star 0 attack, 3,000 defense, and they also fusioned it with Shadow Ghoul to make a card called Shadow Wall. And we talked about how a 3,000 defense monster would be pretty high, but it could be flipped to having zero. I mean, it could get flipped and get destroyed immediately. With zero attack, it's going to take a lot of damage. Kind of like Big Shield Gardener, I guess.
Yeah, but it would be pretty good because, Big Shield Gardener and Cocoon already see play, and it's clearly... well, you said it's a 5-star, right?
Yeah, you have to tribute.
Yeah, so, okay. I think that's doable. I think that's fair in this game.
Yeah. So, we have to wait a couple weeks to see... Well, it's the end of the month, so we're going to wait a while, I guess a whole month, to see who this legendary duelist is.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So ranked duel changes. They're going to do a bunch of changes. In addition to the events mentioned above, there will be campaigns, new cards added, and updates to various features. We're also planning on updating ranked duels. Do you think is there currently a floor system currently right now, or it's possible they change King of Games of how you get a number, like in Hearthstone, you get Legend 500 or something.
Right. The floor system right now is only that nobody, once you pass like Silver 1, I think, you can't go back, right?
Right.
Like ever. And so that's a nice little area to keep like free for the brand new players who are first coming into the PvP. I think that's good design. I don't think they'll change that, but who knows? I'm not sure if they'll do anything like the ranked system in Hearthstone within King of Games. I think it makes sense to encourage people to keep playing within King of Games, but I'm also not sure if they feel there's a need because they don't have any presently. They don't have any sort of like Yugi point system like in Hearthstone where they're competing for points to go participate in the World Championship or anything. So there's no reason that you need to be number one in King of Games, except for that people within King of Games might still want to play and have some competition, and it encourages them to keep playing. But there's also, I'm not sure how many games actually happen in King of Games. I saw a Reddit post where someone in King of Games had played against the same guy 3 times in a row, and that was just a few days ago, and we're almost done with the season now. So maybe it would be doing the rank system specifically to encourage more games in the King of Games, or maybe the fact that there aren't that many games within King of Games makes them think it's not worth it. One thing that I like from the Hearthstone system that people were memeing and making fun of Road about, but now that I've seen the opposite, I kind of like it, is that the Hearthstone system is set on a month, and you know exactly when a month ends, and so you know when the season ends, and you can plan around it, and you can try to set up a schedule for how many games you're going to play and whatnot. Whereas this system, maybe I'm too dumb or something, but I haven't seen any sort of pattern. It kind of just every once in a while they'll make an announcement that says, hey, it's ending in a few days. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go play some games. And so I kind of like having set and easily identifiable lengths of seasons. So, they don't have to do a month. They could do a week. This is a fast-paced game, so I'm fine with having the season reset every week or whatever. But something that's really easy to keep track of would be nice.
It feels like it's 2 weeks now, right? Or that's just my perception of it. It
seems like it's around 2 weeks, but I could have sworn sometimes it's cut shorter or longer based on certain events that they just want to get specific timing on. Maybe I'm just making that up, but 2 weeks seems about to be the length.
Yeah, it seems like the average. And one time it ended, and they gave us gems just because they didn't tell anyone it ended.
Right, yeah, so that type of stuff. I mean, I guess it's okay to end it without telling anyone if everyone knows that it's a 2-week system. But I guess that would be my critique, is that if you can just say when it is, and I think it actually says when you go into PvP, I think it says which, the time frame for that
yeah, it says until something.
Right. So I guess if you're actually in PvP, then you know when PvP ends. But I'm usually not in PvP. When I'm playing, I'm doing my standard duelists while I'm at work, or auto dueling them. Good boss, please don't fire me. And or I'm grinding the whatever event's happening or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it does tell you when it's until when you go into ranked duels. So I guess there's that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be improved on. I guess that's the take-home point about ranked duels. And there's no announcement about the KC Cup, so we'll have to wait about that again. That was one of the coolest events from my memory. Just trying to get to, I think I got to 15,000. That was pretty cool. Just grinding because I kept getting knocked back at like 6 or 7 stars, I think.
Yeah, I think it was really cool, and I know that a lot of people on Reddit were kind of bummed that it wasn't in this announcement, because Reddit, of course, is the more competitive side of the community. It's always going to be within pretty much any community. The people who intentionally seek out more information on a game are going to generally be those who are more interested and involved in the game. And so obviously Reddit is going to be on the more competitive end of the spectrum, and it might very well be that this game is a highly casual game and we just don't see that side of the market in the people that we deal with. But the people that we deal with loved the KC Cup. Reddit was all about it, minus there was some scandal about people cheating and some issue about it should have been region locked or not. But for the most part, people just love this extra competitive. They like the ranks, so again, that might go back to the trying to do the ranking for the King of Games. So maybe if you do the ranking within the King of Games, you don't need to have the Kaiba Cup, and maybe that's why it wasn't announced. I don't know.
We do expect to see it back in the future. As evidenced by the card back they gave you, it says February 2017, so maybe they'll have one in July or June. I don't know. We'll see.
That's a good point. Good sleuthing.
Alright, so we're going to go to the Duel School now. Going in school, and there's a third-rate duelist this week. Who's the third-rate duelist?
That would be me. You got your turn, and now it's my turn to be the third-rate duelist. So I talked about it a little bit in the intro, but essentially, when I was looking at the set, the Chaos Compliance, and looking at cards, I was really excited about Card Breaker because of this ability to destroy your own cards that we've already seen has some really powerful implications. The Harpy's Honeyground Relinquish deck that was popular for a little while took advantage of it. Relinquish decks in general run D-Spell sometimes so that you can do this, and they also run a few other cards like Storm sometimes to get rid of your own cards. There's, of course, this whole archetype now of Desert Twister decks that kind of do the same thing. So, in short, there's a lot of cards that you would want to destroy your own cards. So, I was excited about Card Breaker being a way to activate these abilities while at the same time giving me a monster for special summon so that I can then normal summon a tribute monster. And I was like, oh man, I'm totally breaking the meta right here, because I'm going to be killing things with my Wild Tornado, and then I'm going to be summoning guys, and it's going to be awesome. Turns out Card Breaker has it's a little bit of a intricate, not really intricate, but it's a subtle bit of text where the Wild Tornado says something like, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Card Breaker does not say destroy. Card Breaker says send a card to the graveyard. So it ends up only working, like I said before, with the cards 7, which gains you some life, and Big Bang Blast. Because Big Bang Blast says when it leaves play. So I said only. I'm not sure if that's actually true, but those were the two that I was kind of playing around with. It does not work with a lot of the other ones that I wanted it to work with. And the Big Bang Blast is kind of cool because you still get that ramp effect and you get to destroy an enemy monster. But at that point, I noticed that I was kind of just playing, I was doing like this whole combo using suboptimal cards, taking up slots in my deck with it and stuff, just so that I can essentially play a soul exchange and get to attack that turn. So there's obviously some benefits to it. I was doing it in a relinquish deck, so the other benefit is that I could just break the thing the relinquish had eaten if I just want to do that, or I can use the Big Bang Blast as an actual equip on my guys and attack and stuff. So obviously it wasn't just a soul exchange, but it was essentially a soul exchange. And that was pretty not that exciting. And so the long and short of it is that I spent a bunch of resources. I bought a bunch of packs. I went to the card trader and I got myself another Air Knight. And I didn't need to, because I could have probably figured out what was going on had I just read the cards or tested with what I already had and doing it a different way. So the breaker himself was really cheap. He's a neutral, I think. So I could have just opened like 3 packs and tested this. Instead, I didn't, because I didn't read, and I told you guys the wrong information. So sorry about that, and sorry to myself also.
Yeah, I mean, I guess part of the game is to see how cards work, because the text doesn't clue you in too well. So I guess you found that the hard way, I guess. Well, not too hard a way, but I guess you found
luckily it wasn't like the super hard way, but it was really disappointing because I was like so convinced that I was going to break the meta and do something really cool and become famous and rich and stuff, but that didn't happen. I also have a minor third-rate duelist, a 3.5 rate duelist, who was one of my opponents, and we're going long, so I'll be quick on this one, who we were playing, and I was playing that meme merchant deck that I was talking about in the intro. It's a 30-card deck, because the point is to flip the merchant, get a whole bunch of guys in your graveyard so that you can activate graveyard effects, or so that you can pick and choose the guys that you want to pull out using Pot of Dichotomy or Avarice. So I have this 30-card deck. My opponent has a 20-card deck because he's a normal guy. And he goes and he just sets a couple things. And then I go and I set something, because the first turn with that deck is almost always setting something, a merchant if you're lucky. And then his turn, he goes and he sets a few more things. And then I'm like, what's going on here? He hasn't done anything. So on my turn, I play one more thing, and I let him go. He fills up his whole board with everything set, and then he doesn't, like he's just set. So I'm like, okay. So I just draw, pass. We do this for like 15 turns, and he just decks himself out by almost doing nothing the entire game. He just set himself, he set everything. He played like 3 things eventually, but he was playing a mill deck. So he was like, he had set his worms, and he was trying, like, I don't know, hoping that I would kill them. But if he just has a bunch of stuff set, I'm just going to let him do nothing while I'm building up my combo. And I realized pretty early that I have 10 cards on him, and so he decked himself out with his own decking deck by doing nothing, while I just allowed him to sit there and do nothing. It was a very fun and interactive game where we just both drew and passed the turn.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of a chicken game where you just do nothing at all. And I guess he didn't know when to cut bait on his strategy. I guess that was what went wrong. Sometimes you have to deviate from your game plan to win a game.
Yeah, that's definitely a good lesson to learn from that. And the other thing is that you might not want to just fill up your entire board ever, but you might not want to fill up your entire board early on at least, because it limits your options going forward. There were a lot of things that I'm sure he could not do because he had already set his worms and he didn't feel safe flipping them to attack mode because I don't know the stats on them, but I'm sure it's pretty low. That's obviously a card that's for its effect more than its stats. And so he kind of dug himself into a corner by setting his entire board on like turn 3, I guess, because he had 3 monsters down.
Oh, well, sorry if you faced Decktech.
Yeah, just generally sorry.
All right, we're going to take a look at the second place deck in the last Reddit tournament by Why Not for the win, or whatever FTW stands for. It could mean something else. It's the Venus Control deck. What do you like so much about this deck? I guess I'll explain about what it has first. It has the Atmosphere, 3 4-star Ladybugs of Doom, 3 Possessed Dark Souls, 3 Venuses, 1 Jowls of Dark Demise, 3 Mystical Shine Balls, Enemy Controller, 2 Mystic Boxes, and 3 Order to Charges.
Yeah, so Venus Control is a deck that uses Venus to pull out the Shine Balls so that you can use the Shine Balls for powerful effects like Enemy Controller and Order to Charge, because those effects require you to sacrifice a monster, and it has to be a non-token, so the Shine Balls are essentially tokens that you're generating that don't count as tokens, so you can do these powerful effects. They're also pulled from your deck, so you get to thin your deck out as well as you do it. And then they're obviously going to your graveyard, so it works with the Atmosphere. So it all kind of pulls together. That's the normal part of the deck. He ran some tech in that he just really wanted to control the board with his Ladybugs and his Possessed Dark Souls. That was a little bit techy, but what really got me excited about his build is her build, is the Jowls and the Mystic Box, playing some really interesting tech cards here. The box is really cool with the Shine Balls because it works very much like additional orders to charge. Giving the opponent the Shine Ball is not much worse than nothing, than giving them nothing. So that's cool. It also, I mean, it's not a quick play, so it's not quite the same, but you get a lot of value there. The Jowls are just kind of a cool card that was going into my Merchant meme deck that I was talking about, but I haven't really seen it get too much play, so I like stealing stuff there. And essentially it seems like a fun version of a fun deck, and I really wish that I could play Venus. I even thought about going back and buying a bunch more of the fire set. What's that called? Tyrant or something? Flame of the Tyrant, that Venus is in, so that I could get 2 more. But I don't have Order to Charge, so it's kind of like that takes away a lot of the value of Venus. So maybe I could do it with Mystic Boxes.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool deck if you want to check it out. If you have the resources, it's a lot of SRs. I mean, there are a bunch of cheap cards in this deck, but a lot of SRs in it, and some of them are not obtainable anymore. So
Right, yeah. I would say the obvious card that you need is Venus, and the card that you really, really want, it's kind of like the reason why you're doing it, is Order to Charge. The other cards, nothing else here is necessary. Pretty much every deck runs Possessed Dark Soul nowadays because there's so much Relinquished and other good things that it can steal, but it's not like, first of all, it's easy to get, but second of all, it's not necessary. Obviously, you need the Shine Balls, but they're neutrals, and you'll pick them up while you're getting your Venuses. So, really, if you have a couple Order to Charge, then all you need is the Venus, and you don't have to worry too much about the rest of the cost of the deck. And the econs, or enemy controllers, are very important as well, but those you get from farming Kaiba, so you don't have to worry about the cost of that.
Yeah, so That's what you need to know about that deck, and maybe it'll resurface again in the tournament. Maybe the guy will play a different deck. We don't know, but it's a pretty cool deck to check out.
Yeah, I've also seen a combo version of Venus, which uses man throw, and you just throw the shine balls at your opponent's face. So I'm just like super jealous that I can't really play Venus because I don't have the orders to charge.
Oh well.
Yeah, what you gonna do?
All right. Next section. A guy named on Reddit named Andrew13189 gave me some feedback about last week's show, and he showed me about kind of schooled me about tune decks and what tune decks actually do. The tune cards themselves have a lot of text, so I admit to say that I didn't really read the text for every single card, but they're actually different. The Toon Dark Magician Girl, which is a reward from Pegasus this time at 3 million, it doesn't have to wait a turn to attack, and that's typically one of the weaknesses you see with Toon monsters, in that you could react to them before they can attack you the next turn. But Dark Magician Girl can attack right away, and he showed me that some cards like Mermaid, Toon Mermaid, and Summon Skull can special summon, and that could get a 1-turn kill next turn. Pegasus 35, a level 35 reward Toon Table of Contents is a must get for any competitive Toon deck. So if you're trying to run Toons, it would be good to get Pegasus to 35 so you can get that card, and also a Mimicat, which is level 31 or 32, I believe. And yeah, he just gave me a lot of information about Toon decks to make me think that they're not as bad as we said they were last week.
And then I'm going to come in and say, yes, they still are. I actually saw on Reddit after we talked about this exchange with Andrew, who, by the way, do you think it's Andrew from the game in the Duel World?
Oh, he is pretty technical with all his responses.
Yeah, has he done the research? Is he the one? Or is that someone else? So we should have done our research, I think is what he says. Anyway, he's definitely right. I, too, had not really read all the cards. I thought that you needed to have Toon World out, and then they didn't attack, and then if Toon World died, they died. And, not all of that's true at all. And I really should have noticed because, sometimes Pegasus at level 50 will play one or two of them without having Toon World out, and so that was kind of silly of me to not really make that connection. But anyway, I even saw a combo in which someone won one-turn kill using Toons because they started with the It's a Toon World power, and they special summoned the Mermaid, and then they tribute summon as their normal summon Dark Magician Girl, and they played, I think it's called Toon Rollback or something like that, which allowed the Dark Magician Girl to attack twice. She, of course, has 2,000 attack, so it attacked directly because your opponent didn't have Toons, and then it attacked again for 4,000 damage. And I was like, man, that's awesome. But that's not going to happen very often. The Toons, most of them are a turn behind, even if you get some special summons and you get to use that as ramping, of course. A lot of Toons are either die if you don't have Toon World out, or can't be summoned if you don't have Toon World out. And essentially, you're still going to be a little bit slower. You're still usually going to give your opponent a turn to respond. And most importantly, we are living in a relinquished and Heartbeats meta. And relinquished eats your Toons in that one turn that you have, and Heartbeats kill your Toon World. And so it seems like, and of course, if you're in a Heartbeats and relinquish meta, you're also in a meta in which every other deck runs spell and trap removal as well. So everything is going to kill your Toon World. And I just don't see it doing well in this meta. I've not been able to personally test it because I still don't have all of the important cards that he listed. Pegasus has been a real Scrooge and has not given me my mermaids, despite farming him at level 40 for a while now with Joey. And so I haven't been able to test it personally, but it just does not seem to be a good fit in the meta. Even Taya Burn seems like it could be an issue for them. I don't know how frequently they get to attack, and get like lethal amounts of damage right away. But if you have to pay life to attack, like some of the tunes do, then that's just a little bit less life that the damage that cast will do to you. So I just don't see it matching up well against the meta right now. And unless something pretty big changes between now and next time he comes back, I'm probably not going to play it next time either.
Yeah, I might give it a go maybe after this event ends. I actually have all the cards. I checked my cards this morning. I have exactly 4 and 3 of every single level 40 card he has. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty balanced. It's pretty cool, because usually I'm missing like one card. Like the Bakura event, I missed the tour bus, the Sangen on the bus card. I don't know. I didn't get any of those. I got like 15 of another card. But I have to get Pegasus up. I think he's a level 19 or something stupid for me. So after this event ends, I might try to raise his level up to see if I can get those necessary cards.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess this is going to be the show for this week. I'd like to thank Andrew, who we just talked about, for giving us suggestions and feedback, which we desire for this show. So thank you, Andrew, for telling me about Toon World.
Yeah, and also, because obviously you forwarded me the messages when we were planning out the show, he also pointed out other gave other suggestions for topics to cover. He talked about his techie build that he used to compete on the ladder, and a bunch of other stuff that we didn't get to cover in this show, but we might cover it another time. And also, it was just kind of nice to hear from a listener and to get some some feedback and some tips. And so, all in all, thanks for writing in, even though obviously I disagreed about the tune thing. I really appreciate it as well. So that was really cool. We appreciate that. My shout out was to my boys Rootless and June. They have been sending me back and forth vagabonds every once in a while. I think I faced one of them on the ladder at some point, and the other one was just in the chat, and he was like, I need someone to send vagabonds to, and I'm like, I got you, buddy. You can send them right here. And so we've been doing that. We've never had a conversation or anything. I don't know who these people are, except that every once in a while they send me a vagabond, and I send them back, and I appreciate it.
The other guy who I'm friends with on this game is such a bum. He just I sent him a vagabond and he never did anything back. I don't think he ever played it, because I can't. There's no option to send him another vagabond, so I guess he never played it. And there was a time when he was gone for a month. So
so it's just hanging out in his Duel World forever.
Yeah, he hasn't logged on in 9 days. It's pretty. This guy is just he doesn't play much anymore, I guess. So yeah. So all my vagabonds go to you now. So that's just what happens.
You're swimming in vagabonds.
All right.
That's why my levels are so high. That's why my guys are. I need a new legendary duelist, because by the time this next one comes out, all my guys are going to be at max level.
Yeah, so they will be coming out this month with whoever they are. 1 or 2 people, new duelists to face.
Yes.
So this is going to be our show for this week. Find us on our podcasting services like iTunes and Stitcher. Find a podcast and more on our website with cool pictures and words at theduelassessment.wordpress.com. Email us at theduelassessment@gmail.com, and you could find us on Twitter. We've become quite active on the shared account, Duel_assessment, or our individual pages at GreenRanger HS and HS Decktech.
That is right. Give us words.
Give us words. All right. Yeah, that's going to be it for this week. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Happy dueling.